As the flames of war spread through Greece, I mean, look at this thing, literally, who's gonna clean this up? Silver-tongued Odysseus sets plans in motion that will see him rise as the Wanax, the supreme ruler of the Aegean. Battles, politics, glory and riches from distant lands. We're waiting for that, but first we have to deal with the Boeotian oathbreakers who are still haunting us. And by haunting, I mean invading Ithaca for an all-inclusive vacation. The warriors of Ithaca are not as rich as the Boeotians, but they're gonna march to defend their island, from humble spearmen to nobles. But let's ignore the part where the enemy has much better axe infantry. That's gonna cut us up into gyros meat. That's why we brought the special sauce. Exemplary ambushers, amazing at killing anything with their javelins, and great in melee. You can use them against elites, or cheap units to just massacre them quickly before the javelins are thrown. Boeotia was the location of Orchomenos, one of the richest palatial sites in Greece. They conducted trade with the East through proxies or directly, and we know that Mesopotamian artifacts have been found all the way in the heartland of Greece. It was definitely a rich city, and now we're going to enrich in the lives of the Boeotians with some arrows from the side. Still waiting on a good ambush opportunity. Now, we are outmatched, I'm not gonna lie. Our spearmen are probably not gonna end up in Elysium quality-wise, but that's why we're gonna go into Phalanx to absorb the charge. And speaking of charges, it's time to do a little bit of Bronze Age bowling with the chariots. This is a little bit of a fictitious move though, because chariot warfare in Greece? Let me put it this way. By the time of the late Bronze Age, the chariot has just swapped so many models. This type of direct charging is debunked by archaeologists. It just wouldn't be possible with the lightweight Greek chariots. But speaking of lightweight, we're about to get a heavy charge by the armored axemen. Our basic spearmen are holding. This is gonna be the battle of their lives. Well, you know, considering some of them are gonna die. Yeah, I wasn't wrong about that. They're gonna hold for a while though while Odysseus buffs their leadership, but our archers are opening fire from the rear. That's why I positioned them there. See, Odysseus is cunning. We've got some great flanking opportunities. The infantry is tied up. A little bit of a chariot mishap, but essentially I have to show some zoom ups to you guys. But they still did great damage. Somehow the armored axemen, they're just not insta-destroying my units, despite all the modifiers. But that's fine, it's not like we want to win or anything, right? We're gonna get the young spears to charge the axemen, because what's gonna kill deadly warriors? Oh, I know, naked youths with basically no training, just with a really long stick. Yeah, this rear charge, this is kind of Antiquity Greece, not a Bronze Age Greece, if you know what I'm implying. But it's effective nonetheless. The Boeotians are just somehow not crashing us. The defensive formations are so powerful. And of course, cunning Odysseus will take advantage of that. We're gonna get another charge by the Island Club Warriors, but the clubs are not the brightest tools in the shed, or sharpest books in the library. I know it's supposed to go opposite, but I said it like that on purpose. Okay, axemen are just getting destroyed by bows, and we know how important bows were in Bronze Age warfare, and Greece was no different. Bronze Age, Iron Age, I've already mentioned the Spartan poet Tyndareus in the last episode. Look at the brutality of war. And with a drive-by with Odysseus here, the Boeotians are crushed, their spirit broken, and their spines thanks to our chariot wheels. Now our islands are safe. Oh, wait, did I forget to mention we pissed off even more of Greece? The Arcadians sailed to meet us with a huge army, and wouldn't it be a shame if they all tragically died? As we scout for the Arcadians, I think we're gonna figure out their hill camping and woods. I swear to gods, I'm gonna make swan soup out of them if I catch them. They've got some better infantry than us, but that's not gonna stop us from doing the smartest move possible. Suicidally charging uphill. I mean, come on, did you really think I was gonna be smart and let them march to us? Nah, ain't nobody got time for that. At least our chariots and ambushers are gonna have a great time giving the enemy a rear surprise. Once again, more associated with classical Greece. Look, they're already opening fire and just chaotically moving around, so that means we can catch some of them without a charge bonus. But remember, we're still going uphill. And I have to stop zooming in for the cinematic shots. I'm not fully microing because of you guys. I want to show you the glory of Bronze Age Mycenaean warfare up close. Archers are taking their sweet time to march as they expected the enemy not to be just a bunch of sissies in hill camp, but at least we're gonna get some great back shots. And speaking of which, Odysseus is going downtown on some skirmishers. Don't you just love the sound of horses trampling people into a bloody mess in the morning? I know I do. Now we can get the other chariots to charge, as the lower tier spearmen were killed by our spear chargers, and now the whole backline is in chaos. And now this is perfect. We can use our chariots and spear chargers to deliver the killing blow to the bird people. And you guys are going straight into the cooking pot. Thanks to our spear thrusting practice with our sparring partner Penelope, now we have a beautiful family that will one day rule Greece. The very same that just erupted into a civil war. It's not just blood that I'm smelling, it's business opportunities. That's why the hero Iphiklos is raising an army to conquer the Peloponnese. As Odysseus is cutting a path through Boeotia, Iphiklos is gonna launch a counter raid against the bird people. We're outnumbered but never outmatched, because our savage Aegean hillmen are gonna crack some skulls open. And the chariots that I'm gonna put behind enemy lines. No reference intended, I swear on the gods. The Arcadians are already shooting at us, but a focus fire will always win the day. Especially when you have a heavy armor bow general. It's already looking like we're gonna ruffle some feathers here with the fire, and the Arcadians are clueless, to put it lightly. While the infantry is charging and our shock units move into position, the chariots are just gonna have a field day with the backline. It's time, you know what? It's roadkill time. Now, there's historical evidence on Linear B that further backs up the already dubious use of Greek chariots as close combat weapons. Who in their right mind would put silver rims on their wheels? Have you seen the terrain of Greece? Have you actually been to Greece outside of Thessalia and some parts of Boeotia? You use this only for prestige and some skirmishing people, not to charge. I gotta stop going for the cinematic shots. I'm gonna lose out on micro here, but we came for blood and glory, so with one final charge, the hillmen are breaking the enemy and their spines. While Odysseus is hunting small Boeotian warbands, the Arcadians really took that counter raid personally. 2 giant armies on our islands? But in a true display of the Gigabraid AI, they're gonna split them up. So it's time to slaughter them faster than my load time. I'm kinda setting a low bar here, to be honest. As our warriors are raiding the countryside of Arcadia, the city of Aegean is undefended. Which means free real estate and access to gold, because who doesn't love bribery? And now it's time to put the Arcadians into the cooking pot once and for all. You know, first day on the job? Yeah, too bad your backs are about to get broken. And your skulls, considering my club warriors are doing it from the front. God, I love Aegean hillmen, probably in my top 5 of any Total War units. At least definitely in Pharaoh. Now, this is the best part. We have to defend a crossing here in mud with a handful of spearmen and bowmen. At least our backline is massacring the enemy reinforcements. And even the humble spear chargers or the deadly Aegean hillmen are just gonna make minced meat out of the enemy. And we did already make a bunch of bird-related puns, like, gods, I hate the Arcadians. Now we're just gonna maneuver the Aegean hillmen to the side. They've already destroyed this. A small strike force, just getting a beautiful charge. This is gonna be good for us. Now the enemy general is charging into braced cheap spearmen, and this is a lot of damage, but we're gonna back this up with the chargers. If there's one thing chariots hate, it's getting charged. Doctors hate this one trick. Look, they're already falling to one of the cheapest units in the game, the Aegean runners. And the chariots are also getting shot at. We can't really direct fire because of the angle, but you know what we can do? We can use a big, long stick, no pun intended, or maybe I did, and we could just massacre them here. You just have to move Iphiklos a little bit closer, as he is using a sword this time in heavy armor. Look at the backline. The bird people are truly an outstanding army. Look at that swan taunting me. Now you're gonna get crushed because of that. And the Aegean hillmen are just destroying them. This unit, if you haven't used it by now, you really have to. This is like addicting. Alright, we've pretty much dealt with most of the backline here. And look at the front. The disgusting cheap spearmen managed to survive so much. Now we actually have to back them up though. And the archers are firing at the javelins because that's our only real threat. As long as the chariots are tied down, we're actually fine. Not sure how much the swords are gonna help, but at least Iphiklos and his bodyguard can tank quite a bit, alright? God, they look so amazing. The javelins are on the run, some of them spend their ammo, some of them, well, just sissy it out. That's fine, we got spear chargers for days. We're perfectly fine with this. Aegean javelin men, yeah, I'm sure we're going to win this. Oh my god, that guy just did a get down Mr. President move. And the chariots, look at them, they're just collapsing. Arcadians, I'm not gonna say I'm disappointed, but I'm disappointed. We're not gonna kill the retreating general because they're just gonna get a new one for free. What we're gonna do is kill the chariot here. Chase away the skirmishers because our young spears are pretty fast. Definitely deadly for the price you get them at. And we're also just gonna enjoy them getting a rear charge into the chariot. And now, because of this, it's time for the Swan people to sing their death song. Yeah, you know, by now you probably guessed that I'm not a fan of the Arcadians, but otherwise this would be pretty sad in real life, you know, hearing that. But you know, thank you for the free real estate. I'm not gonna complain. Now that we control most of Western Greece, it's time to recruit more brave warriors to take advantage of the political situation. Good old Priam ain't doing so well, especially with Paris as his heir. I mean, what could go wrong? Okay, a lot of things. So we'll bribe our way into the court as the Aketas for more legitimacy and elite units. Following the path of the hero Perseus, we'll be able to gather warriors from around the world as our might grows. Iphiklos has sent many a foe to their doom, and he's become known as the herald of Dionysius. Not Hades, as he's not attested in Linear B from what we know. Are you seeing something over there? I hate myself. As Odysseus sieges the Boeotians, we have invaders of our own. Yeah, I'm totally gonna give the sea people land to settle in. We're gonna be the best friends forever. No, we're gonna bury the sea people. We're gonna splatter the sea men into the ground. I'm not doing myself any favors here, am I? The Aquesh were one of the different Sea People confederations, but they only appear in written sources in regards to Merneptah's Great Libyan War and the Battle of Perire as a part of the Libyan forces, including the Shekilesh, Sherden, Luka, and Teresh. Now, the confusing part are the multiple different translations of the inscription, since, as always, archaeologists and historians can't really come to an agreement and have their own versions. Aquesh or Aquasha makes them Achaeans or Achaeans, Achiava, beyond a doubt based on the name. But the only problem is, because the Egyptians were so obsessed with cutting off the ding-dongs of the fallen enemies, they especially recorded that the Aquesh were circumcised, so they cut off their hands instead. We have absolutely zero evidence of circumcision being a practice in Bronze Age Greece, because something like that Yeah, you're gonna need written or almost unbelievable physical evidence, but it could have been a regional tradition from some of the Aegean islands close to the mainland. But in spirit of historical accuracy, we're about to pull off what is gonna happen to the Aquesh as our swordsmen are charging in the insane Achaean runners. So cheap, but so deadly that they can even strike fear, metaphorically, into the hearts of the dreaded sea people themselves. Now, they back themselves up into a corner so our bowmen can just shoot the elites, while the chariots, yeah, using them in force is bad, I know, but they're having an easy time. And look at this. Our amazing hillmen got a flawless charge into the elite swordsmen of the sea people, backed up by their cheap young spears, so 2 and 2 equals broken back. Or mushed brains, you know, we don't discriminate the violent death in total war. Now, because we're in a forest, our chariots are just so slow, actually getting them in the backline is not really as easy, but at least we routed the swordsmen and we're gonna have an easy time shooting the sea people to death. Yeah, we're gonna splatter the sea people all over. From the front, from the rear, it doesn't matter. And speaking of rear, we're about to stick him with the pointy end of the spear chargers. And from the front, it's gonna be the clubmen. Now it depends who gets where. I just love spear chargers in this game though. Especially something so cheap as the young spears. Deadly, extremely cost efficient, and they can just take out much more expensive troops if you get a fantastic flying charge with them. Now, the chariots can't really do much here, unfortunately. We are essentially fighting in the woods against corner campers once again, so faster infantry might actually be a better idea here, while the chariots are just getting pulled back so we don't suffer any accidental casualties. And of course, the hillmen are gonna get stuck a little bit because one guy touches another unit and the entire unit's there. But look at that hillman charge into the general though. They are just gonna turn him into paste. I do gotta be honest, the Aquesh color scheme is amazing. Shame they're not playable, but it is what it is. The sea people threat has been neutralized. Their backs and spirits broken, just the way we like it. Now all that's left to do is shoot them to death, and I think you already know what's gonna happen after the battle, Egyptian style. Now that we caught a whole load of sea men, we're gonna recruit them into our army. As our legitimacy grows and Odysseus captures more of the Boeotian cities, it's time to engage in politics. The oracle position is empty, and our charming pirate king is gonna bribe his way to become the oracle. Now he's become the chosen of Poseidio, the supreme god of the Bronze Age pantheon, if you believe the sources, especially in the city of Pylos, the home of the legendary Nestor. You know what time it is? Backstabbing time. As Iphiclos cuts his way through the smaller armies of Pylos, King Nestor is ready for an open battle. Pylos was a powerful city in Greece, with the remnants of a grand palace named after Nestor, the legendary king and hero in the Trojan War, and here apparently the legendary king of corner camping. Greeks never change. Pylos is interesting because not only does it have the highest amount of linear B texts mentioning Poseidio, or Poseidon, it's also famous for their last words, aka a tablet where lookouts should be posted towards the sea, as something might have been coming. And you already know what I'm gonna say, it's going to be us this time. Pylos was ransacked and eventually around, let's say, 1190 BC, if we're going by some estimates. And eventually it did recover, right? Like most of the settlements in Bronze Age Greece after the, let's call them mysterious destructions, as no foreign invasion is absolutely present in the historical record so far. Thank you, archaeology. And thank you to the chariots for going on that side, at least we can distract the slingers, which have no chance of killing us. But we have a great chance at killing the enemy with our Achaean runners. Have I told you how awesome they are? Yeah, they're amazing. You should recruit Aegean runners. Look, they throw pointy sticks. Look, they got a sword. They kill stuff. Recruit Aegean runners now. Definitely monsters tier unit. So, to go back on the story of Bronze Age Greece. Essentially, during the collapse period, it is really hard to determine what actually caused the collapse in the context of social upheaval, internal strife between different palatial centers, and population imbalance, essentially, power struggles. But speaking of struggles, our chariots are just gonna struggle to go through so many men at the same time. We're just gonna have to spam attack orders like crazy and just devastate the enemy army. Oh, Nestor, you never stood a chance. But to go back, just like these javelins are actually gonna go forward, what I just said makes no sense, but welcome to Reptilicus. Climate change definitely affected Greece and the entire Aegean during the collapse period, and a little bit before. That's what essentially did spark off the migration wave of the different islanders. A lot of raiding, and a lot of destruction. Now, some palatial centers are definitely destroyed by, or better said, damaged by natural causes. Some have been accidentally set on fire, and some have intentionally been plundered, just like we intentionally shattered Pylos here. Hey Nestor, guess what? Heads up! The time has come. Our unbeatable armies and immense wealth made us outpace all the other factions in the Civil War. Now, we join the race to become Wanax. The Boeotians are like rabbits. They keep multiplying no matter how many of them I kill, so cunning Odysseus forces them to become vassals, for a pathetic sum of stone and the return of Calydon. Look at the sad eyes of the Shekelish, all alone in Attica. Sad sea people make me cry, so we're gonna backstab our friend Achilles and give one of his cities to the Shekelish. Of course, they're gonna have to serve us because of this. It's good to be king. A traitorous king, but that's how you climb the Bronze Age corporate ladder. And speaking of climbing the ladder, how can you become the Wanax if you don't take away Mycenae? Agamemnon is long dead, and Odysseus has been waiting for this moment. As rain falls down from an angry sky. Well, I was about to say my spearmen rage on, but nah, they're just chilling, defending a river crossing. I don't know what kind of madness is forcing the Mycenaeans to go at us through mud and a river with chariots, but at least we have ambusher javelins and fantastic spearmen. They have much better chariots than we do, but we have javelin support. So now, our Achaean chariots are just gonna charge and keep these heavy chariots busy, and the javelins as well are gonna turn them into scrap metal. Yeah, that can safely go into the junkyard, or archaeology fine pile. Archers will shoot the javelins because that's the biggest threat, and our Aegean panoply raiders, the absolute gods of the battlefield. One of the best spear units in the game. And depending on the use, it might be the best if we ignore Peloponnese insane scaling on their spearmen with items and technology, and legacies. Now these reinforced chariots are gonna get caught, and the axemen are looking like they're just about to get massacred by our countercharge. Now we're gonna use our special forces, the armored Aegean javelin men and chariots to go around the flank just in case. And right now, we can just enjoy a relaxing countercharge with the young spears, as their chariots are so stupid they're going into our braced formation elites. Okay, some of them get knocked down. I mean, it's a slippery slope, or better said, muddy slope. But the chariots are definitely not having a good time. And now we can unleash the ambushers safely. Achaean javelin men. Java who? I don't know, but the reinforced chariots are dead there. Now we can actually bring our own chariots and just look at the blood in the water. Our swordsmen are cleaving a path through the enemy spears and chariots, and thanks to our heroic spearmen, the sea people, the Aegean panoply raiders, there is just nothing that can stop us. Mycenae probably pulled one of the dumbest moves they could have done. Now look, the chariots are just stuck in the mud, the river, the general is there, and we do not care about him in the slightest. Now it's time to play some bowling. On pretty bad weather, but you know what? I'm gonna take the non-Bronze Age Dionysus excuse that any day is a good day to party. Just like our javelins are about to party all over the enemy chariots. It's looking like a good day to not be Mycenaean, I can tell you that much. And look at the chariots just dropping from the javelin fire. Exemplary ambushers, absolute monsters. You see, they're so stealthy, you can't even see them because of that bush. And if the chariots charge him, it doesn't matter because they're gonna kill him in melee now. The lines are in absolute chaos, and these, like, poor skirmishers shooting at me, I don't care about that. I had to show you guys the bush. You know, the one where my guys were hiding. And the archers are going to decimate this. I don't care that they're charging a pathetic levy unit. My general is about to get a direct shot. Iphiklos, the monstrous Lord of War, who's just been carrying these battles. The reinforced chariots just can't compete. Losing a little bit of archers doesn't matter when Mycenaeans are losing their heads, their kingdom. And now we can just point our fingers and laugh at the Mycenaeans for pathetically losing this battle. And just paint the water and mud a little bit more with the shade of Mycenaean red. It's over. We're crowned as the Wanax of the Aegean, and Odysseus went from a pirate warlord to ruling all of Achaia.
Under the gaze of Mount Olympus.
The different tribes of Greece and people of the sea march alongside Odysseus as preparations are made for the biggest adventure of them all. To conquer and loot a kingdom of legendary wealth far across the sea. But you're gonna have to wait for the next episode until we get there. It took a little while to push this one out, but hey, the results are here. Hopefully you enjoyed watching. I had a lot of fun setting up the video. Part 3 is coming, and let me put it like this, you definitely do not want to miss it. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you're crazy enough, you can always subscribe or become a member to support your old buddy Reptilicus pump out even more quality content. Wacky adventures, documentaries, and campaigns, they all await us. So until the next time...